Well, it's that time again. It's Les Kevin, more tech from UTEC IT.com. So today we got a special guest today, don't we?
Yes, we do.
We're gonna mix it up even more, and so we've reached out to one of our partners,
Right.
and we'd like to bring them in, have them share some of the neat stuff they're doing. And with that, we're gonna introduce Jay. And I mean, I'll sound like I got marbles in my mouth. Tell us your last name, Jay.
It's Grochowski.
Grochowski. See, for us,
that's right.
Unenlightened guys, we can't pronounce that big
I
Polish name.
I always
there.
say, yeah, it's a good Chicago name.
Yeah, good Chicago name,
Yep.
right? So, Jay, you're with Epson, right?
Correct.
Your job is to come out and support us,
Yes.
and you do that very well, right? You're here all the time. Like we're like, hey, go away, leave us alone, right?
That's right.
You got to have somebody else you can support out there, isn't
Yeah,
there?
it's a favorite spot.
Yeah. So, good. Tell us, just give us a little background about yourself. I know I've had a chance to work with you before.
Mm-hmm.
Blessed. I know you've seen a lot of things in our industry.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the nice thing is you're not somebody new that's going to come in and doesn't know anything about it. You're bringing stuff to us because you've been in the industry a long time, but give us a little background.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, no, I was a college teacher and a coach, a baseball coach, and school went out.
We're not going to have to listen to this IU baseball
No,
stuff again, are we? You know how you won the
No.
College World Series playing shortstop. Oh, here we go.
No. Actually,
This is going to be our shortest podcast ever. Knock us off, Bazooka.
The only thing I'll say about coming to Ann Arbor is they weren't normally very good. The Wolves were pretty good back in the day. So this is where batting averages came to die. So, but no, I got out, was actually teaching and coaching. They went out of business, and the college went out of business. And so kind of like the movie The Graduate, somebody said office equipment instead of plastics. So
Right. So
I got caught in the tractor beam 37 years ago, and here I am. So I've worked at Panasonic, Kyocera, Sharp, HP, and I actually even left at 61 years old, left HP in the middle of a pandemic to come and work for Epson. So I had my reasons.
Well, I could tell you, I know that there was some turnover. There was an open spot there, I should say.
Mm-hmm.
And talking to Patty and Ellen there, they were kept on saying, hey, Kevin, we think we got somebody. And we're real excited. We don't want to say anything yet because we've got to finalize it with him. But I know that they were super excited to get you on board. And I didn't know who they were talking about. Had I known, I'd have been equally as excited at the time because we worked together.
Yeah,
before,
we'd worked together in the past.
Appreciation
You
for
bet.
your skill set. But so I know that they were extremely pumped to get you and bring you on board.
Yeah, no, I was really happy to be here, and you know, like I said, you know, everywhere I've worked in the industry, they've been you know, great positions and had, you know, a great tenure there. But like anything else, you always want to try to better yourself a little bit. And it would have been easy for me to stay at HP, but you know, it's the old kind of, you can't beat them, join them. We started losing to Epson, especially when people wanted to talk ink.
Now, we'll take a shot at Jay, but if you worked for 36 manufacturers, can you say you really worked, or was it more like vacation, like train stops, right?
Yeah, no, I always, you know, looked for the next technology. So,
well, Jay, they got Shaq speaking for him everywhere.
we
right?
do.
Yep.
We do. And actually, you know, it's funny. Having been at Panasonic, HP, and Kyocera and Sharp, I've never been involved with a national ad campaign that's had the impact of the Shaq.
Mm-hmm.
To the point now where people say, "Well, oh, you work for Epson." I said, "Yeah, you've seen the Shaq commercials."
Right.
And almost to the person, they say, "Yep, we've seen them."
Okay, I'm going to digress and tell a quick little. I got a favorite Shaq story, and then we'll get back on track with business stuff. But buddy of ours, fraternity brother from school, his last name was Shedenhelm, Matt Shedenhelm, and Matt worked for the Miami Heat. He's top at craft at what he does with video editing, and won all kind of Emmys and ESPN and Fox Sports. All those guys want him and keep on. But he was working for Miami Heat, and so he would go out and he would shoot commercials with Dwayne Wade and Shaq and, you know, all the guys there. You know, LeBron. I think Matt knew LeBron was coming to Miami before anybody else did because he had to make the video. You know, but. So we got to know Shaq, and Shaq would have him come over and help him with his IT stuff because Shaq couldn't connect all his. But Shaq would say, "I can never remember your name." and Matt Shedenhelm, his nickname was Shed, and he looks up at him like this, and he goes, "Shaq." He goes, "You're the Shack, I'm the Shed."
Right.
Ooh, that's funny. You know, he pats him on the head. And so from that,
Yeah.
you know, that's how Shaq always knew him. And I think today, if Shaq saw him walking down the street, he'd say,
Shed.
"I'm the Shaq,
You're the Shed.
So,
Good
Well, I've been
story.
called worse, right?
Yeah.
yeah. So Epson,
Yes.
Yes.
Shaq, great things going on there. I keep on hearing from whether it's Mark, Patty, or Ellen, it's ingrained in our head, heat is bad, right?
Cold is good.
Cold is good. Why in the hell are they out there in California and they don't have an office here in Detroit? Because I'm tired of
cold
the
is
cold.
that good, yeah, right.
Cold ain't that good. You being a Chicago guy, you can attest to it too, right?
Right, sure. Yeah, no, and ultimately, like I said, in all seriousness, moving to upgrade in technology, I really saw I saw ink for the first time when I went to HP, and in fact, when I found out that I was going to be selling industrial grade ink products, my first thought was, well, the only ink printer I had ever had was that HP box that you buy at Best Buy, costs you $100, runs out of supplies all the time. Yellow is orange, blue is green, paper is wet, gets all clogged up if you don't use it. So I wanted no part of selling ink, but now I'm working at Epson or at HP at the time. And they said, well, that's the retail grade ink. We sell the industrial grade ink. And it was a whole lot better, but it was still heat. You confine heat into any, you take heat and you confine it, and especially when you talk heat that gets into thousands of degrees, it wears out things that are made of plastic. So we started to lose to Epson because an awful lot of the problems that HP has with their ink clogging and some of the stuff even at the industrial grade and the need to use it all the time just isn't the case with Epson because we use a cold process. There is no heat. It's sort of an impulse pops the ink onto the page as opposed to spraying. Actually, in Epson's case, it bubbles it, boils it to 212 degrees, and it drops on the page. So the proof that maybe isn't the best way is that HP's now officially gotten out of.
I was just gonna say.
Yeah, they finally got out. So I got out while the getting was good. So wasn't an ink fan going in, but I became an ink fan and see where, from a sustainability standpoint and low power usage and reliability, long life supplies, I decided I was going to end my career with the newest and greatest in technology. So here I am.
Just a quick backup. Cut sheet, right? 8.5 by 11, 11 by 17, what have you. Almost all inkjet products, they basically boil the ink. It explodes out onto the paper to vary. So Epson, which is using, you called it an impulse, so there's no heat.
Right.
And you look at Epson, and they have a phenomenal market share in inkjet production, wide format.
Correct.
Right. Matter of fact, I believe they're number one market share.
Sure.
Right.
Yep.
They use that same technology, the impulse.
Yeah, correct. So what they basically did was, and in all fairness to HP, the $100 box that you buy at Best Buy isn't the same technology on their $6,000 box or their $8,000 box, or completely the same technology. It's still heat, but it's not the same. And but in our case, we use the same technology that we have on $500,000 and $750,000 textile printers that print on cloth. Some of our biggest and most capable machines that cost a whole lot of money use the exact same, what we call micro piezo technology. So that's cold. Fancy word, fancy Italian word for cold process. So
you've brought that technology, it's marketed, it's proven successful. It actually dominates that space.
Yep.
And you've brought it down to what we call cut sheet. Pieces of paper, 8.5 by 11, 11 by 17.
Correct. Yeah. So then the real challenge for us is, when you think about it, we're the lone ink voice in a laser world.
Right.
But laser, just like the HP ink that we're talking about, uses heat and pressure. So heat bad, cold good. Things can happen in a heat environment. All the jamming, the replacement of parts and things wear out. We have very few moving parts. We have, for the most part, our stuff just lasts and lasts. It's environmentally, it just doesn't, it's not exposed to the same issues that a process that uses heat is. So then it was really, the challenge was, how are we, if a customer is looking for something and 7 people are coming in talking laser and 1 is coming in talking ink, how do you convince them that we're right and they're not right?
Well, it feels completely left-handed, right? We've spent our career selling against this, and now we're going back in and telling them. But it's interesting to see folks take a second, and if they have an open mind and they look at it, and you start looking at the benefits. I mean, there's a ton of benefits to inkjet again, and the costs are coming down, the reliability's there, the quality's there. Again, if I'm doing a complete marketing slick, maybe that's not the right solution. But even those solutions, you'd be surprised with the upgraded where it's at. But I'm just thinking about what's important right now, along with this technology, is what's it doing to our environment. I know there's a lot of people out there concerned about it, and
right.
Why Epson with that?
Yeah, well, see, and that's really become the thing. I mean, when you really look at one of the biggest shifts, even politically, and at the top of an awful lot of people's list is the environment, and depending on which side you sit on it, how serious you take it, you still have a whole lot of people that don't know if global warming's a thing or not, but they take their soup cans and they throw them in a recycle bin at home. So, and there's a real need, really, for everybody to try to do whatever pieces that they can, and I believe in that. I'm not too crazy on either side, but
right.
in my personal life, but I recycle. But for the most part,
we know we shouldn't be dumping oil in our lakes.
Well, that's right.
Know that,
that's right. Yeah.
We shouldn't be blowing smoke down our lungs. That's not a great way to go. But this is real, and it does make an impact. And Epson's got such a leg up with this for folks that really want to take time and look at this and see how it expands on.
Sure. Well, if you could take a machine right now, if you take a laser machine that's 100 pages a minute. You have to rewire your building. It has to have its dedicated line. It's got to have all of this stuff. It sucks up an awful lot of power. Our 100 page a minute, you know how Les is for his everything bagel with vegetable cream cheese every morning. Once he toasts that, he could unplug the toaster and plug in 100 page a minute color Epson where the toaster was and run it on basically the power of a nightlight. And that's 70, 80% less power. Well, if you take Ann Arbor schools. I'm just throwing this out there, but I suspect it's a pretty good-sized school district, has a bunch of schools. Their biggest machines suck up an awful lot of power. And you certainly you don't do it with an Epson, so they could, if you take a look at what it does for the environment, what it can mean as far as its cost savings, but also the environmental savings, that's a big piece of it. And then post-consumer waste. When you don't have heat, and the heat is the reason it uses a lot less power. So cold is really good when you don't have to heat things up. So then you take post-consumer waste, that's the other piece of it. Most people look at their machine, they see an Energy Star compliant sticker, and they go, and they recycle their cartridges, and they go, we're good. We're at the top tier of taking care of the environment. Not the case. You're an owner. You send out your service technician. Usually they've unboxed everything. They put in the new stuff. They take out all the old stuff, and it ends up in a dumpster. That's the piece the end user doesn't see. So the person that thinks they're green because they recycle and they have an Energy Star sticker.
Well, they do that at Xerox and Koenig.
Oh, yeah.
UTEC,
Oh, did I say?
we don't do that. Yeah.
Oh, that's right. You grind them up in the back and make benches out of them. But so that's really, and then we're a plant-based ink. So it's not a plastic polymer. So if you take the big three of power, post-consumer waste, and plant-based ink, people that really, really, really care about the environment, organizations.
Well, Les, you've been on the front end, and you're the one that's looked at the sustainability with our customers and had those initiatives and had those discussions. I mean, if they really are serious about this, if it's just not lip service, there's nothing that's out there that compares to what Epson can do for them. What's the reaction been from what you've seen with our customers in those conversations?
So the post-consumer waste is big. the exact number that's promoted is roughly 44% fewer components within an Epson versus its counterpart from a laser-based engine.
Yep.
So there's 44% fewer pieces going into a dumpster. Right. The power usage, right? I think that if we can figure a way to quantify that a little bit better, because that's pretty impressive.
Sure.
Because what you're talking about is the power of a nightlight to drive a piece of office equipment. I mean, a standard laser printer is always warm. It's always is, because somebody hits file print, they want the output to come out on their desktop. So that is the too big. I haven't articulated properly enough, but the renewable plant-based ink is something that people hear it, but it's not like the power usage, and it's not like the effect on in the dumpsters.
Sure.
Because eventually, I mean, when you look at a drum, right, which is in a laser device, the chemicals that make up a drum, they have a half-life. Yeah, they're not exactly friendly.
Right. And
when you ship back your cartridge for recycling, it eventually finds its way into, a dump site. Eventually.
We have some great partners with our manufacturers for some of the laser printer stuff that we do, and MFPs. Epson said, "Hey, you got to take on this product." The more I looked at it, the more impressed I became with Epson. With okay, we're talking about the sustainability here. Heat is bad and cold is good. The inkjet stuff, but what I really liked about it, Epson, and that impressed me, was it started at the top with Mark Matthews. It's a leadership there.
Sure.
It was Patty O'Brien. And her plan for building and putting together a team. And then they were fortunate enough to go on a trip with them and see. They said, "Hey, they brought a bunch of us dealers out there, and look at this. This is what we're trying to do. We want to know more about your business. How can we help you? How can we align you guys for success?" I was really impressed with that mindset. And then now they're bringing on guys like you that I've worked with in the past. And I'm like, man, these are stand-up people over there, and they're doing. They know the business. And from my standpoint, I really love that. Again, it's that customer experience we talk about in every podcast, why it's important to us. But they really want to be a great partner. Is that? Was there anything else that made you want to come here, or these similar ideas?
Yeah, well, very in the similar vein, and it's very much reciprocal. We're the newer kids on the block, so
in the MFP world, projectors,
we've got lots of number ones,
right.
Projectors, robotics, label printers, things like that. But in the historic copier/printer, we've been making desktop printers, the Shack machines. We've been making those 20 years, but what was more kind of historically the copier sized and the desktop MFPs and things, that's where we're really ramping up. So what we needed to do is find the UTECs of the world. And really what that entails is, first of all, a company with an impeccable local reputation, because we don't sell anything direct. We don't have any direct branches. If you take the biggest, Ford Motor Company, there's nobody at Epson that sells to Ford directly. We would go into Ford with UTEC. So because that's how we do it, we have to make sure that we have the right people.
And if Ford wants us to come in, we're available next Wednesday, right?
Wednesday at 10. And out by 10:05. Right? But no, so because we don't sell direct, it's the only way we take our product to market is with the UTECs of the world. So we have to be very, very particular about who we bring in, because it's going to have the appearance that it is Epson. And so it's a true partnership. So I'll take you folks as an example. It's no surprise. Now, you guys signed on before I got here, but it's no surprise because the reputation for impeccable service, laser, you've got an entire customer base. You've got the technical support, because our stuff is no longer your grandfather's copier. I mean, everything's connected, everything's networked, software's, too many to name. So you have to have that kind of technical capability. So we don't want to grow people from zero when we can find people that have that. So what's our appeal to a UTEC is we can take, your customers are your customers, we can help you open new business. And that's what I present to all the historic copier, office equipment dealers, is that we can help you find that new business and certainly offer a talk track and a capability through cold process ink that they're not going to find with Xerox or Ricoh or Canon or whoever. So now when I go in, and I tell people all the time, you might be a copier dealer that has, a print dealer that has 3 or 4 of the main manufacturers, but to me you have one, laser. We're a true second option, which is ink. And now, Mr. Customer, Madam Customer, we can sit down and let's take a look at what's important to you. And UTEC is a perfect example. If the laser fits better, we've got laser. We've got top of the line laser. If ink fits, we've got the ink. And if they both fit, we can do a hybrid that you can't find unless somebody has Epson, because we're the only ink game in town.
Well, no, I just laugh because it is a good partnership. We're giving our customers alternatives. We're trying to show them there's different ways of doing different things. We want to sit down and consult with them, and so I think having both technologies there gives them a chance to look at that. And
Sure.
All I know is that if Chip Maselli's impressed with this and says it's a go, it's good enough for the guys over there at UTEC.
Yeah, Chip does a great job. So, but we're finding more and more dealers, and I think that just take a look at it. I encourage dealers all the time to get on the job boards, and you'll find out that if you just type in sustainability anything, there's companies and organizations and school districts and colleges and stuff that have sustainability officers that they're hiring. So they recognize it. We're lowering our carbon footprint. We're doing all of the above. Laser doesn't put you in the sustainability game. So when you think about it from a sales standpoint, if I'm the sustainability officer at a university, or I'm the sustainability officer at a for-profit company, an engineering firm, I keep my job if I can prove that I'm lowering my organization's carbon footprint.
Right.
So they want to talk to guys like the three of us if we're going to come in with Epson Ink, because we can demonstrate from one of the areas where there's a lot of waste, if you will, and that is in the power and the post-consumer waste, and that is marks on paper, because it's a laser world, and we're the lone sustainability voice.
Yeah, but if they're serious about it, there's just no other conversation to have than something like that.
Right.
So,
but you can walk in. I just had this conversation with someone. I said, I noticed that you're the new sustainability person. I said, I can help you do your job. Now, usually we're all in sales, so when a sales rep tells you, I can help you, translation is, I'm fixing to make some money, and I'm going to put it under the guise of I can help you. And in fact, help you spend your money with me. But if you're the sustainability officer, that's still the same goal, but you can also say, I actually can help you demonstrate to your organization ways to lower your organization's carbon footprint.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Through office electronics. And marks on paper were the only ones.
Well, good. Anything you want to throw in there, Les?
Well, Jay, I was just one of the pieces I think that you may have missed that I think is important. There with the roughly 45% reduction of components that are in each of the devices, there's just plain fewer things that can go wrong.
Right.
So you get a better experience because the opportunity of something to go wrong with the device is dramatically reduced.
Yep.
So can you talk a little bit about that piece?
Well, I tell people all the time, I said the number one feature everybody wants on their machine that they're printing or copying on is uptime. It's not modes of reduction or enlargement or the ability to do two-sided, all that. That's so standard.
Yeah.
It's a given. But what people want is they just want it to work.
Just to work.
So if you take an Epson, you take our 100-page-a-minute machine, right now we average about 160,000 pages between service calls. For anybody listening to this, that may or may not make a difference. Most copiers, the historic laser, at 100 pages a minute, or 50 or 60 or 70 at that upper end, 25,000, 30,000, because they have scheduled maintenance. There's a certain period of time where the heat and the pressure and, putting an image on and then wiping it off and putting it on and wiping it off and burning it onto paper and all of that stuff, it's worn out and it needs to be replaced in a scheduled maintenance,
So
like an oil change.
5 or 6 times more efficient.
Yep. Actually, we're calling it 3.5. So 3.5 times. So
we don't want to say this too loud because my technicians
Right,
they think they're out of a job. I'll be looking for new technicians.
Make a Maytag repairman, right?
Yeah.
But no. So no, you raise a great point, and that is that people just they don't want to add toner. They don't want it to be down. Nobody loves walking up to the machine and the out of order sign is on it, or one of the lights are flashing because it needs yellow, cyan, magenta, or black. Not only do we have far fewer moving parts, but because, in effect, our mechanism isn't filled with rollers and blades and drums and developer units and all of that stuff, there's space to put more ink. So our supply yields are huge because the users hate adding that stuff. Yeah. Even if it takes them a minute, they don't like taking out the old yellow, putting in the new yellow. So,
what's the yield?
Well, it depends on the machine, but we've got desktop units that are 20,000 pages in the color and 50,000 in black. So if you've got a desktop unit and you're doing, let's say, 500 color pages a month and 1,000 black pages, you'll go 3 years before you'll add a color using industry standard coverage, and or close to 4 years with the color and 3 years with the black.
What's a standard laser printer at?
Oh, you mean comparatively?
Yeah, the couple thousand is what it is.
Yeah, it's hard to say. I mean,
most of them around 2,000, 2,500.
Yeah, right. Because again, they need the small footprint, but because of all the guts that they have to put in for heat and pressure, they don't have much room for cartridges.
So the difference is I'm changing out supplies once every 3 years versus once every couple of months.
Right, exactly. And people, so again, the out of order sign, the need supply sign, that's been a real big feature for us.
What about on a standalone walk-up copier?
As far as the
yields?
Yeah. That's our big three are 50,000 pages across the board. Yeah, 50 in the color and 50 in the black. So, and actually, our biggest ones, we have 2 black cartridges that each hold 50. Yeah. So really 100,000 pages in black.
That's dramatic.
Yep. And again, the only way we can do it is by not having all the other mechanism in there. We have the space. So no, it's been great. And now you know why I left HP.
Right.
It's like nobody ever got fired for buying a Xerox or an IBM. Well,
they did all the time when people really looked into it.
Right. Nobody leaves HP, let alone leaves HP in the middle of a pandemic. But yeah, just, too competitive. I loved it at HP. Yeah. Great folks, great people. I loved it there, but it took this opportunity and the people you were talking about to coax me over. And I'm really glad I did.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Well, we're grateful because we're the beneficiaries of that, right? We got a true pro in our business that's been around the industry for a long time, knows what it takes to be successful, willing to work with our guys to help us make us successful, and you got a great team and the Epson guys behind you that are really looking for partnerships and want to work with vendors. So we're good for that. You know what, Les, I'm afraid if we don't get this thing wrapped up here, we're going to have to start listening to about how he was on third base and stole home to beat Purdue, and I don't think anybody wants to hear that story.
No. So I got my shack and shed. Cuban lived on my dorm floor.
Okay.
Mark Cuban.
All right.
So I missed my chance to. I should be like playing video games on his sofa. Yeah.
So he wasn't that bright, right?
Be part of it. Yeah, right. Be part of his posse. So it's funny. He owned a bar. Wasn't old enough to go into it at IU. And then in fact, it was really funny. He was that guy. When he bought the Mavericks. A buddy of mine called up, said, "Hey, did you see the sports section today?" He encouraged me to go get it. Open it up. There's a picture of him shaking hands with Ross Perot Jr. He goes, "Are you surprised?" I go, "No. It was like right around 99, 2000. So, that was my shack and shed moment. I could be on his posse right now. And
Well, see, that's how you become a lifer in an industry. You're not talented enough to do anything else, so you get pushed to sell copiers and faxes, right? And then you just can't get out of it. And you're just trapped. You're forever pigeonholed into that. But hey, well, before we go, we like the bourbon. We're still waiting on our bourbon sponsor here. So if somebody wants to step up there,
we need a plug. We need a sponsor.
Yeah, we need a sponsor. So
not enough O's and smooth, I think, right?
Yeah, there he goes with his radio voice. But favorite flavor of bourbon.
Favorite flavor.
Yeah, what do you want? I mean, you reach that shelf at the end of the night when you've just kicked butt selling 36 of these units during the day, helping guys like us out there. What do you reach for?
So I'd be lying to you if I told you I'm a bourbon guy. I know. So I like bourbon. So therefore, I'll.
So your favorite bourbon is what somebody else has put in front of you.
Basically, free bourbon. How about that? Free bourbon.
Free bourbon.
But no, this is delicious. It really is. But see,
Old Elk.
if it's not made with potatoes.
Oh, so you're clear. You like clear.
See, I'm East European, man.
Yeah, vodka guy.
Yeah, absolutely.
What's your favorite vodka?
Kettle.
Kettle? Okay.
Yeah.
There you go.
Oh, Tito's came in from the outside.
It's handcrafted.
Yeah. Well, I gauge it by the next morning. If I'm walking around all fuzzy and need a bag of cold peas or something on my head, I shouldn't have bought off the bottom shelf. But.
See, I told you Les, he's all right, because Les read you the first time he met you as a wine cooler guy.
Hey, no, I'll tell you what, I had a wine cooler guy live in my neighborhood. Those guys get a lot of freebies.
Is his name Bartles?
No.
Bazooka, we just lost control of this thing, man. This is downhill quickly, isn't it?
But no, delicious bourbon. How's that?
All right.
Yeah.
Delicious.
Great. Thanks for coming, and we appreciate the partnership.
That was
Thanks,
awesome.
Jay.
Thank you.